Hey, this is Justin Prime. Welcome to the Jprimecast. This is number 5. Really, thank you for joining me. I'm having, again, lots of fun doing these. Let's go straight into it. And the first thing you know by now is who I'm talking to. I'm going to go to my Instagram right now. Whoever the last person is who I'm talking to, as long as it's not a kid. And the last person in my Instagram feed is Pencil to Work, all one word, Pencil to Work. And this person is an artist, it looks like. Looks rather young, but I don't think it's a kid. It says, looks like he's in college. New media, design, animations, and other stuff. Pencil to Work, thank you so much for being in my newsfeed. I like to dedicate each episode to someone. At first, it was because I just felt kind of nervous, and it was more comfortable for me to talk directly to someone rather than to my mic or my computer screen. Now I do this just as fun. I just enjoy it, and I feel like it gets people involved because after I finish the episode, I contact that person and give them a more personal thank you and let them know that I do the podcast. So thank you. You'll be hearing from me in your DMs. So Pencil to Work, this is how it works. This podcast, it's a weekly kind of my opportunity to reflect on my week and what I did and did not achieve and make some new goals for myself. That's the heart of it. There's also some commentary along the way. And I also share what tools I'm using and make new goals. I talk about who I follow, who follows me, and I name a couple people. And then I reflect on last week's challenge. Not reflect, but I report on last week's challenge. And then we have a new segment with this week's challenge, and we have a new voice joining us, which I'm really, really excited about right at the very end there. So make sure you stick around. This next segment here is a kind of a new. Actually, it is a new thing. I had got this voice message from Jason Ryan. His Instagram is by _ Jason Ryan. He left me this message, just kind of thanking me for the time he spent with me in DMs. He and I have had a lot of conversations that he's been asking me a lot of questions about comic creation and follower engagement and whatnot. And that's kind of what I'm going to play the clip for you here, and then afterwards I'll kind of talk about follower engagement and the advice I'd given him.
A big thank you for the advice you've been giving me for the past couple of months, and for the advice you gave me a few weeks ago about putting my own artwork out there and not worrying so much about my follower count, and the fact that it'll pull the right type of followers for me. I've noticed a difference not only in the number of followers, but the quality. My numbers haven't been going up and down and fluctuating anymore. The people who have been following me are following me for the right reasons, I guess. So they're no longer going back in a day or two and unfollowing me. And the most important thing is I've discovered a drastic change in comments. People have been leaving comments left and right, whether it's something small or something big. And it's appreciated. And I just want to say thank you again for that advice.
Jason, you are ridiculously welcome. I've discovered that giving people lots of my attention and time through DMs is helpful to me when it comes to creating new content and kind of realizing what I do and don't know and what I am or am not helpful with. So I've benefited from our discussions as much as you have, it sounds like. And so, yeah, dude, I'm happy to. Feel free to hit me up. So yeah, my advice to Jason was to not worry about, like you said, not work. Just like don't worry about your follower count. He had messaged me about starting his comic, and he didn't want to start it yet because his follower count wasn't high enough. And if it wasn't high enough, how could he fund his? How could he successfully complete a Kickstarter, and therefore how could he fund his future comic book, which he hasn't started yet? Well, I guess he's kind of started it, but hasn't really started yet. So my answer to him was just start it, like just go, really, because there's never going to be enough followers. I have, and I told them I have almost 9,000, but I completely failed my second Kickstarter, like really bad. So I don't think there's a direct correlation. Of course, having more followers would help. That seems pretty obvious, but at the same time, it's also not because when you share something, not all of your followers see it, and not all of your followers will follow you because of your original creator-owned stuff. Most of the people that follow me are probably following me because I can draw Venom pretty well, you know. Actually, honestly, yeah, the proof here is when I look at my go to my gallery. If you it doesn't have to be right now. I don't care about right now, but go to my gallery and look at my follower engagement when it comes to me sharing my design stuff or Sculpture Stories or Astropig. Like look at the the amount of likes, I guess, and comments, and then compare that to when I draw Spider-Man or Venom. It's a huge difference, and like I'm not mad about that. I don't blame nothing negative about that. But me relying on my follower count is not an indicator of who is actually interested in Astropig or Sculpture Stories. The people that follow me for those things um, is probably pretty small. Like, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's probably pretty small. My comic Sculpture Stories issue 2, I've sold less than 50 copies, and that part of that's because I hate selling. I hate selling, but I also think it's because there's a handful of people that are really into it, and I'm glad I made it and put it in print for those people. But it's like not all of my 8,800 followers are into my books. Like it's just that's the way it is. Actually, I drew this super quick sketch of a Spider-Man head, a bust, and I think it's got like 700 likes or something like that. And I don't think I've ever posted something that's my creator-owned stuff that's gotten that many likes. I don't think. But like it's because it's Spider-Man, and I got actually someone a cosplayer reposted that, and I got a bunch of new followers. Because he posted it to his 100,000 followers, so I got all like I don't know 50 new followers or something in one day, which is a good jump. But those people are going to be disappointed because I don't draw Spider-Man that often anymore. I'm kind of doing my own thing. So yeah, follower count is nice, and it could, of course, can be helpful. But what's more important is who is following you, not how many people follow you. You can have 1,000 Russian brides following you. They're probably not. They're probably not gonna buy your book. I hate. I hate the Russian brides. I got a few of those, and when I see that, I block it. I like my follower count to be as pure as possible. So if it's a bullshit account, I block it. Um, like cause I actually want to know who's into my stuff and who's not. So yeah, like you want to go for follower depth, not follower width. And this is again like a Gary V idea. I've mentioned him numerous times already, and I'm going to keep mentioning him because these aren't my original ideas. Um, it's depth versus width. Depth would be as many as you can get, and then width, like if you want, I'm sorry, width would be as many as you can get. If you want that, like do follow for follows or whatever. I don't know how people do that stuff, but you can make that happen, but you want depth, which is that people are really into what you're creating, and then ideally later on what you're selling. But first, you have to create it before people know that they're into your creator-owned stuff. Pretty obvious, right? So that's more important, far more important. I have these like moments where I kind of want to start all over, or maybe even start an Instagram account just for my creator-owned stuff and see who follows me over there, like who jumps ship and joins me over there. And but then I would know like how many people are actually into my stuff. So anyhow, yeah, follower depth is extremely important, and follower engagement. So not just people that follow you, but people that interact with you is very, very important in my opinion. Actually, it is like it is. So people that leave comments or contact you through DMs, I think it's super important. And you're not going to get those people unless you show what you're actually working on, what's important to you, and who you are. And I think, Jason, that's kind of what you were sharing with us, is that's what you're feeling. That's the response that you're getting. So I'm happy for you. And I've been checking in on you every now and then. I do see a difference. Plus, you have some kick-ass designs, man. I'm excited about those. But I see you being more transparent. The other person who's doing a really good job of that is Brendan Metcalf, my mentee from the J Prime and B Doc series. But he's been doing I think he's doing a great job with being transparent and kind of sharing a little bit, just enough personal kind of touch to his, not just so he shares his artwork in the description. He'll share a little bit more. His stories have a nice personal touch to it. I think he's doing a great job. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm learning more about him, which is cool. So yeah, happy for you, Ryan. I'm not Ryan, Jason. Um, I'm glad you're seeing a difference already. Like, it hasn't even been that long, dude. It's been like a week maybe, and you're already seeing a difference. That's like amazing. So I'm happy for you, dude. So like, if you want to sprinkle in Spider-Man every now and then, and that's kind of what I'm doing now. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. And I'll keep doing Venom, but yeah, I've been going pretty hard with the creator-owned stuff and my practice and whatnot. All right. This is the heart and soul of the Jprimecast. This is the artist inventory challenge, the personal edition that I do each week. I need to have an intro for all of these little segments, like I don't know, a jingle or something unique, you know. But I will not add that to my plate. But here are my projects that I'm currently working on. There's more. There's more than there was last week. Hear me out. So number one is Sculptor Stories issue 3. Astro Pig book 1. That's number 2. I'm sorry, that's confusing. The first project is Sculptor Stories issue 3. The second project is Astro Pig book 1. The third project is just ongoing social media and the podcast. But underneath that, bullet points is a roundtable Q&A, which I'll talk more about, and a creator's commentary, which I'll talk more about. I'll leave it like that for now. Project number 4 is my art skills, developing my fundamentals. And project number 5 is brainstorming for an audiobook. I'm only doing this when I'm driving, just brainstorming, just the thought process. Last week I mentioned that I'm not going to do it, but I can't get it off my mind. So it's just kind of, it's there. It's there. That's all. All right. So it's a little bit more than last week, but not too much. Those are my projects. Up next is the obstacles for the week. All right. So for the first project, Sculptor Stories issue 3, the obstacle that I encountered is the same. It's time and having too many projects. Time, actually, I'm sorry, I can't tell you it's time. We've discussed this. Time is not an issue. I can make that happen. The real problem is I have too many projects, and even that. Oh man, I gotta be real honest with myself. Even that is not an issue because I can choose to cut out certain things. I'm just not. So last week we talked about this, and I've continued this. I'm just doing everything all at once and seeing what happens. And what's happening is I've made some progress, but not enough. Yeah, that's a continual theme, isn't it? Obstacles for project number 2, Astropig, same thing. Too many projects. At some point, I'm going to have to really hold myself accountable and make a change at the same time. Obstacles for project number 3. This is social media and the podcast. I'm taking on too much. Again, too many projects. Now, you know this is an ongoing issue, but I just want to like kind of give you an idea of how much I put on myself that doesn't need to be there, but I like doing it, so I'm going to do it. So I played that clip from Jason Ryan. He has all these questions. So the goal was he and I were supposed to talk a couple times now, and it hasn't really worked out, about questions he has for his comic that he wants to make. And I said, well, write them all down, and we'll do a Q&A, like conversation through Anchor here. And that was supposed to happen on Friday night, and it didn't work out, probably due to my internet connection again. Um, so he recorded those questions and sent them off to me. The goal was to record my answers to them and then upload it and move on. But I thought, what would be really cool is if I reached out to some other independent comic creators and asked them to answer the questions too. So I reached out to like 4 or 5 people or small press companies, and I've gotten a few people that said, yeah, they'll do it, which is awesome. And I think it'll be great for anyone listening. I think it'll be fantastic for Jason. Um, and overall, it's good for me because it's fun and I want to know people's answers to that. But that's like a whole new project. It really is like a whole new project, but I'm going to do it anyways because I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be fantastic. And it's going to meet my bigger goal. Oh, I didn't even talk about my bigger goals this time, damn it. My bigger goal, I'll have to add them in whatever, moving on. It's going to meet my bigger goals of, having a deeper connection with my followers. I think that's going to help out a lot, and bringing value. I think that's going to help out a lot. So it's meeting the bigger goal, even though it makes my smaller ones that I do each week a little bit harder to attain. But that's on me. It's a choice that I'm making, and I own that. I'm not going to complain about it. Okay, so moving on. And then okay, here's another. Oops, I cut off that last segment. My belly hit a button on my keyboard on my lap. I'm not overweight, but I guess it was enough. So lesson learned: don't keep your keyboard on your lap when you're doing a podcast. Got it. All right, so back at it. Obstacles for social media / podcast. Okay, this is ridiculous, and I don't know. I don't even know if I should tell you this because once you hear it, you won't be able to ignore it. But I'm gonna tell you just for fun, and it's just to let you know kind of how hard I make this on myself. I did a recording about an hour and a half for I call it a creator's commentary for Sculptor Stories issue 1, where it's like a director's commentary for a movie, but it's me commenting on all aspects of Sculptor Stories issue 1. So I finished recording, um, and had the video for it. Everything's all ready to go, and I could upload it the way it is. But when I was listening back to it, because I like to double check stuff, all I could focus on was my breathing. Like all I could hear was my breathing. And now you're going to be listening for that too. So what I did was, or what I'm doing, is deleting all of my breaths from this hour and a half worth of audio. It's completely unnecessary. Probably something you wouldn't have really noticed, but I did, and I could not stop hearing it as I listened. And it was like far too distracting for me. I hated it. It might be like an OCD thing, not literally, but just my own like anxious thing. I don't think that's what it was. I don't know, but it was driving me nuts. And I've gotten like 20 minutes into. I've deleted about 20 minutes worth of breath. It's just excessive. It was. I didn't want to hear it. I don't like hearing that. So I'm about 20 minutes into like an hour and a half. About 20 minutes. That's like I got a long way to go. So I'm doing a little bit at a time, like 30 minutes at a time, a real world time, working on this for 30 minutes. But this is a project that's totally unnecessary. But I kind of want these things to be centerpieces for what I do because it's all about comic creation. It's reaching out to independent / amateur artists and creators, comic creators like myself. So I think it's really important. I think it's kind of like a staple of what I'm aiming to do. So I'm putting that extra effort into it. Like, no, it's not necessary, but to me it is. It kind of is. Like, I want that more of a polished feel for that. Now, I won't be doing that for everything I record because it's too ridiculous. But for that in particular, I do want it to sound a little cleaner. And when I do the little test run, it sounds better. So I'm happier. And there's something about it, like deleting those breaths. That's kind of like it feels right. It just feels right. You know what I mean? All right. So obstacles for the art skills improving my fundamentals is I have some like serious mental obstacles for this. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. I am improving. That's a success for the next segment. But when I attempt to do fundamentals, values, shading, whatnot, there's like some I can like my brain just stops. Like there's a serious like block there. I don't know why. It might just be a practice thing. Just like keep doing it. I'll learn it and be able to execute just from practice. But right now, and I've been working on this for a little while now. I would think I'd be farther along, but I'm not. But yeah, I seriously have this hard time conceptualizing values and form. So this will tie into my goal, one of my goals for the week. But yeah, like I've noticed this serious like mental, like it's like a block. It's just like, yeah, I have the same thing kind of happens when I'm terrible at navigation. I'm really, really, really bad at getting myself around. I mean, I get around. I'm fine there, but like, I can get lost pretty easily. Even in places where I'm pretty familiar, all of a sudden like I'll just like there'll be like a gap in like I don't know if it's like concentration or what it is, but all of a sudden I'm like, where the fuck am I? Or how do I get to where I need to go? It's kind of like that with this value thing. Like there's just this gap. Like all of a sudden my brain's just like, no, I don't. Where are we? What are we doing? And it's bleeding over. I used to feel really comfortable doing like marker values when I was faking it, but now that I'm attempting to sell it more and be more sound in my fundamentals, there's I'm having a hard time. I didn't think it'd be easy, but I didn't think it'd be this difficult either. But this is growth, right? It's just, if it was easy, I guess it wouldn't be worth doing. So, all right, those are my obstacles, I believe, for the week. So again, too many projects. But again, like I'm owning it. I'm not going to bitch about it. I'll talk about it, but I'm not going to complain. That's just that it is what it is. And just that mental gap, mental mental gap when it comes to values. Those are it. So I think the mental thing is kind of normal. Like I think we have, if you don't know something, you don't know it. But now I know what I don't know. I'm aware of what I don't know. So no, that's good. That's normal. But yeah, the piling on too many projects, that's just on me. So pencil to work. Let's take a look at what I have done well this week. These are my wins. These are my successes. And these do tie in to last week's goals. And I'll mention what those are as I go along, I guess. All right. So the wins, the successes for Scolder Stories issue 3. My goal was to finalize their suits. I believe I have. I like the colors. I like the way it pops. I like the layout. Oh, for the most part. For Lance, I'm happy with it. For Annie, doesn't feel 100% right, but I think it'd be good to go if I was starting to do actual panels, I'd be okay with it. I think once I start doing it, I think I'll figure it out as I go along. But for now, we're good. One of the things that I had to finish was my characters are going to carry a few weapons, and as of last week, there was nothing to hold those weapons in. As of this week, I think I have my solution, and that is, so first off, I spent some time researching like weapon holsters and katana blade, not blade, but handle, like what to put it in or whatever. And I didn't like what I was seeing because it was too bulky, and it fits for our time, but this is in the future, so it has to be something that we wouldn't recognize. So traditional kind of attachments and holsters, it didn't fit for me. It was very cluttered, and it's got to be like it has to be something that looks futuristic, whatever that means. So what I came up with was, it has to be like, in my opinion, things in the future in my world, in my universe, they're minimal. Like think about like our phones. It didn't used to be a phone. We used to have to hold like I didn't hold a boom box, but you'd have a boom box or like a tape player way back when, or even a CD player. That's now in your phone. We used to carry a phone. That's now part of the smartphone, obviously. We'd have to have a calculator. So all these things combined into what we have a smartphone now. So things get smaller and smaller and smaller. That's how technology works. So I have technology from the future in my book. Plus, it's like alien technology, so it should be even that much further removed from what we would understand as technology or as as recognizable to us. Now, unfortunately, my brain can't bend that much, but I thought that whatever was holding the weapons would have to be pretty small, if anything. So what I came up with was I had the idea of it being magnetized and sticking to their suit, and that just felt too relatable. So what I came up with is kind of obvious. It's just kind of like it attaches to the suit directly, like on their hips for their guns, and then the katana blade will the handles for their dark plasma weapons, the black hole weapons, that'll attach to their back. And the attachment, I don't want to have any like buckles or anything, so I just have this like it just that vague blue light kind of futuristic look. So that I feel like I kind of cheated there because everyone uses those blue lights to suggest the future or technology or whatever. But honestly, I don't know what else to do. I might, if it comes to me, I'll change it. But for now, I'm happy with what it is. And then all those blue lights will sync with the blue or red insignia, so they'll light up together. But I'm content with what I have. It keeps that clean, minimal look that I'm going for in the design of my characters, and it's not just like a holster hanging off. So that's Sculpture Stories. That the weapon attachments, that was my goal, or to get a finalized suit, and I did do that. I'm good there. I don't think I've even shared that on Instagram. It's just something I've kept to myself up until right now. So you have foreknowledge. Look at you. Um, Man, I really hope this thing's not picking up those assholes outside with the damn music on. Damn teenagers. This mic picks up everything. But I think Anchor does a good job of kind of filtering it out. So hopefully they do. All right. So after Pig book one, my goal was to do more creatures designs. Actually, it was to do at least one. I ended up doing a bunch. And what I did was to kind of streamline the process and to budget my time better. I did this kind of like this silhouette process that I've seen other artists do, where they lay down a silhouette and then carve into the silhouette of what details they want. So like as far like it could be like a humanoid thing, they do a silhouette of a humanoid human or whatever, and then added like armor and whatever else they want. So I did that with the creatures, and I came up with like a handful that I could build from. So I'm happy with the progress there. I feel like I made some progress there, and it's a process that I've wanted to do, and now I have a reason to do it. And now that I've tried it out, I can keep doing it. And I just want to probably each week do more of those, just so I have a whole bunch I can pick from once it comes time to actually make the book. For the social media / podcast victories, wins, successes. I got some buy-in from some indie creators to do that Q&A, which I'm really excited about. I think it's going to bring a lot of value to the people that are listening, and that's obviously a goal of mine. I think and it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's building my skill of being able to organize things like that. I think it's something I can build on. I'm not sure where yet, but I think it's a good skill to have. Wins for the social media podcast. For social media, I recorded my creator's commentary. I think that's going to be a big deal for my audience and for me, and I think it's going to be a cornerstone of what I have to offer. I get questions every now and then about comic creation. Now I'll be able to say, go ahead and listen to this, watch this. You'll get a whole bunch of answers, more than you probably even, would have asked for or realized you needed to know. But there's a lot of information in there that's really helpful. So to me, that's a big win. And I will, once I get all those breaths out of there, I guess I'll upload it. And then also another big win for me is that the podcast here, the Jprimecast, is doing better already than my entire YouTube channel. I've had my YouTube channel for years, and it's not something I've taken it seriously. I mean, I have taken it seriously. There's lots of stuff on there that I have, um, but I never pushed it as far as outreach. It just kind of sat there and collected. I have like 1,200 subscribers that I hit this week, I think. But the growth is super slow. My views per video are very low. I mean, surprisingly, honestly, I would think I would do better with because it's so visual heavy YouTube. Uh, but it just hasn't worked out that way. I haven't, but that's also partly, or it is probably entirely on me. I haven't pushed that super hard at all. I think so but that's what I'm noticing here is that I'm pushing the podcast more than my YouTube because I like it more. I'm more into it. I really enjoy this, like more than the YouTube. And honestly, the YouTube stuff, the videos, always felt kind of like a chore to me. It was like, oh, I got to do this and upload it. And they weren't all like that, but I definitely have that kind of like burdensome kind of feel. And if I'm feeling like that about something, I probably shouldn't do it. I don't think I'm ready to give up on the YouTube, but just the fact that I feel way more into the podcast is a. I'm glad I recognize that now. Gary V again, I always bring him up. He talks about what the hell does he call it? Just self awareness. Talks about self awareness. So now, like I'm just being aware of myself and what I'm feeling here. I'm feeling a lot more excited about the podcast than my YouTube channel. So I will probably continue to put more time into this versus the YouTube, or somehow, I just and again it's like a time thing. I just don't have it to put into YouTube. I can't like. I think putting it into the podcast is more important, and I'll keep doing that. I need help with the. Honestly, what I need is help with the YouTube, and there is someone who's volunteered to help. I haven't gotten any results yet. See, it's like I can't blame him. I'm not paying anybody anything. But I need help. What I need is like an intern or something like that, or another mentee that can take on some of that media stuff. If I could have someone like that, that's what I need. I think I don't have the balls to ask for it from anyone. I did ask for it, and I got a couple responses. Um, but I need, yeah. But that's what I need. That's what I need. It's not super important. I'm not gonna go hard on that or push that or anything. Anyhow, I guess I feel like I need more to offer. I feel like I'm taking advantage of people if they help out. I guess that's my issue. All right, so where did I leave off? Yeah, so the podcast, as far as numbers, is doing a little bit better than the YouTube channel already, and I'm only like a month in. This is the 5th episode, so that means this is 4 weeks. I thought last week was 4 weeks, but no, this is 4 weeks because episode 1 was the first day. Was it? I don't know. We're like 5 weeks in, maybe 4 or 5 weeks. I don't know. Don't worry about it. So that to me is a big win that the podcast is edging out the YouTube as far as numbers. My art skills, I did practice most days. I don't think I did every day. This week was particularly busy with family. My daughter started soccer again, and that's like 2 practices a week at an hour and a half each, plus a game. And they practice for an hour before the game. So time wise, that sucked. Weekends are not a good time for me to draw because it's like family time. You would think I'd have time to like hang out and draw, but I don't. It's all family time and taking care of him. I have a toddler; he's 2.5. Like he's just a time sucker. And then soccer and just life, shopping for food and blah blah blah. So weekends are like horrible for me to get stuff done, except for the evenings at nighttime. And then Saturday night, I was like, whoa, I think I did a little bit. I sketched a little bit. Yeah, I did sketch a little bit, and then went to bed fairly early. I was just kind of done. Um, and then work's been really busy, so it's been difficult this week with those real life, real obstacle kind of things. But despite that, I feel like I've gotten a lot done. So I practiced most days on my fundamentals, probably like 4 or 5 out of 7 days. And I feel like I made some improvement. I did share one image of all these like spheres and circles of different colors, and I feel like there was some growth there, and I'm excited to keep going and learn more or practice more. All right, well, so taking a look at my wins and losses is kind of useless if I don't do anything about it. And there are things that I'm going to just own, and like if I'm piling too much on myself, that's my issue, as I've already said. So as of right now, I don't think I'll be doing anything about that. So my goals for the week are, as far as my fundamentals, I'm going to continue to do a little bit each day, but I'm going to focus on drawing from real life or maybe a photo reference. But I think drawing from real life will be more beneficial than just continuing to work on the same spheres, shapes over and over again. I'm done there. I could always be better, but I think it's time. What I need is to learn how stuff interacts in real life. That's what I'm missing here, I think. So for Sculpture Stories, I want to look at my script all over again and do some refinements. I'm near ready to get rolling on that. I have my Android designs, I have my Sculpture designs, and I have my Aeglian, the Elfin race. I have those designs. So this week I need to take a look at the script, and if I have time, I need to probably develop what the Aeglian village looks like. It overlooks. It's like up high on a mountain. It overlooks Android Valley. So that's not a definite bell as far as a goal. My goal is to refine the script. If I do that, I'll consider it a win. If I have time, I'll start looking at what the village looks like, and maybe even Android Valley. And then for Astro Pig, I will continue to do the silhouette style creature design. At least, if I can knock a few of those out, I'll feel like I won this week. Um, Other than that, I will. Oh, and what I did notice here is that Sculpture Stories, I think, is starting to take on a little bit more importance than me versus Astro Pig. So last week I said I was going to just do both of them and see which one kind of won out or trust in the process. And Sculpture Stories is feeling like I probably should spend more time on that. So you'll probably see me do that. Yeah, yeah, because I have those villages I have to design. So yeah, it feels like just trusting the process that I just feel like I really have to push this story with Sculpture Stories. People are waiting, and I am too. I really like it, so it might be time to move on. Tools I'm using, I had a hard time with that this week. I don't know why. Nothing jumped out at me as like I have to talk about this. Maybe the segment's becoming obsolete. I don't know, but but then I thought about who I'm talking to, and it's kind of that independent amateur growing artist like myself. And so I recommend that everyone listening uses Copic marker. Most of you probably are. It is, I mean, it's the standard of what we do as far as markers go. But I think a lot of people don't go into Copic marker because of the price or just like worrying about the anxiety of like, what if I don't get my money back, or what if I never sell anything, or what if it costs too much, or whatever. And those are all valid concerns. I had the same concerns, but it's really worth it. It's really worth the investment. Yeah, they do cost more, but it's worth the investment. So first off, you can buy refills, and I think each refill is like 12 or $13. The marker is like $8 each if you buy it full price. What I did was I found them at I believe it was Aaron Brothers. It was like they were having a huge like clearance sale, and they had it on the Copic markers, and they were like $3 each, which is just unheard of. So that's how I got my start into Copic. I just bought a whole bunch at once because like you don't see that opportunity ever again. And then recently they had a big sale too, where it was half off, I believe, of all art supplies. And I asked them like, does this include Copic markers? And they said, yep. And so I bought a bunch more. And then I went to Michael's, and Michael's will honor any sale from any art store, including Aaron Brothers. Plus, they take off 10%. So they matched the price at Aaron Brothers, plus took off another 10%. And so I bought a bunch more Copic markers from Michael's. So if I was you, and if you don't have any Copic markers, and if I was you, I would recommend waiting for a sale. And once it's there, like you got to pounce on it. The other thing I would recommend is just start off with like grayscale, like buy a set of neutral gray markers. I think a set's like $50, $60 maybe. But what I would recommend you do is don't buy all the gray markers. Like go with like the neutral tones. And there's like 0 through 10, I think, or something like that. Don't get all 10. Get every other one. So get neutral 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 10 if it goes that high. That's what I did. I don't have every single stage. I have uh, every 2 stages. You still get plenty of gradient of transition. You don't need every single one, especially if you're starting out. You don't need every single one. So yeah, they're expensive up front. Wait for a sale or buy. Just start off with grayscale because you can do a lot with it with just the grays. If you don't believe me, look at I mentioned him last week, Eric Canetti. Like that dude just dominates with grays. If I see a good sale, I will post. I'll let you guys know. The last time I found that great sale, which was just like a month ago, I posted about it like all day, I think. And by the way, it is pronounced Copic marker, not Copic. I've been saying Copic because I thought that's what it was, based on something I had heard on YouTube or whatever. But I went before I did this podcast. I went to this recording. I went to the website for Copic marker, and in their Q&A, it says, "How's it pronounced?" And it says the long O, Copic, Co. So that solves a mystery that I had been thinking about, wondering, pondering. And yeah, the tool I'm using, Copic marker, you got to do it. It's like the standard. There are alternatives to it, but really, Copic is it. So pencil to work. The next thing I talk about is who I follow. Um, this is like my opportunity to point out who I follow, obviously, and I don't know. Like it's obviously I recommend you guys follow him or her. This week it's a him. So it's a recommendation, but it's also I kind of want to point out why this person stuck out to me this week and why I thought this person was worth talking about. And this person this week is Dimitris Pantazis. Sorry if I mispronounced that, dude. He's a Greek fellow. His Instagram is Dimitris K Pantazis. And if you can see my description, I'll have it in there. But he's a just incredible, phenomenal, mind blowing artist. Like first and foremost, that's obviously what I'm going to bring up. But beyond that, he's actually seems like a pretty cool guy. He's given me some of his individual attention in DMs, which is it's very humbling. And he follows me. I follow him. It's someone this good, this level is following me. It means a lot. So yeah. So he's one of these artists, and there's only a few of them, in my opinion, that I have that when I see them in my feed, that I stop and look. And he's one of them, along with Eric Canetti, Joe Madera. And this is just for me; it's a very subjective thing. But when I see his work, Dimitri's work, I stop and I look and I study it, and I love his angles. I love the size of his hands. I like his coloring. His uh, his black ink work is beautiful. So you need to be following him. He's someone that I can go into his gallery and just flip through it and look and look and look. And most of the followers I'm sorry, most of the people I follow, I don't or won't do that. Like it's just I like to check up and see what the other doing interesting things. But there's a few of them out there that are just on another level, and Mr. Pentazis is definitely one of those. Also like he's one of those where I'm when I stop and I'm looking, the thought that I have in my head is like, yeah, this guy's better than me. Like this guy's just dominating what I'm doing right now. I'm not as good as this guy. I'm not as good as an artist as he is. That thought goes into me. So seeing his work is like while it's super inspiring, it's also kind of defeating at the same time. But overall, very inspiring, and he's a good guy. He oh we've chit chatted a little bit through DM this week, and he let me know about there was a link in my bio that was supposed to go to the podcast, but apparently it didn't go there for some reason. I don't know why, and I didn't troubleshoot it. But he let me know, hey, like that link isn't working. So I had that up there for like weeks, and no one let me know, which I don't expect you to. I'm not mad at anybody, but it was like a dead link that's just like blows me away. So I didn't know that until he told me that, which is just really nice. I appreciate that. So he's an active, someone who follows me, he's active. I see him in my feed. It seems like he likes my work, which is pretty cool, very humbling. And he was just fun to talk to. He talked with me a little bit about fundamentals and how important they are. And it was just very like, this is something I'm beating myself up on about, honestly. But he's just like, yeah, we're all there, and all of us need to spend more time on fundamentals. Even at the professional level, like that's what's lacking in our field as artists, I think, and as comic artists is or aspiring comic artists, is that the fundamentals, like it's not there. He was kind of saying, so that was really cool. It was really reassuring, and he wasn't trying to like you know make me feel better at all. It was just more like, yeah, just chit chatting, and it was cool that like he pointed out things that I wonder about. So it's just very normalizing, very reassuring. It was cool. Fun guy to talk to and to follow. Make sure you're following him. Let's turn the spotlight now to someone that follows me that has really made an impact on me. This is Anthony Bachman. His Instagram is at Bachman Anthony. Check my description if you can see it. He's just like a super supportive follower. He's amazing. He's seems really into my work, even my creator-owned stuff. He has, oh man, he owns both issues of the comic. He backed me on both Kickstarter attempts. The first one successful, the second one not even close. He invited me onto his podcast. He does a podcast with a few other people called All Things Good and Nerdy on the Gonna Geek. I'm sorry, it's called All Things Good and Nerdy, and it's on the Gonna Geek Network. If I got that right, hopefully I did. But he's invited me onto the podcast to help me with pushing the Kickstarter for issue 2. So I got to talk about Scolder Stories and join his podcast for that episode. That was really cool. It was a great experience. He's reshared my Kickstarter when I was announcing it, like on my gallery. He reshared those or shared those, and then for Kickstarter 1, he even put I put these like avatars, these badges, if you backed it, and he put one of those as his avatar on Instagram. So like it's just, I mean, all around, just ridiculously supportive. So Anthony, thank you, man. I know I've told you this, but thank you so much for being so damn cool, man. I appreciate that. Pencil to work. Last week we had a challenge, and this challenge came to us from Luke Brown, aka Lab 5 Studios. I think he changed his name on Instagram. Now I don't remember what it is, but anyhow, Luke Brown came up with this challenge, which was to DM your favorite or whoever pro comic artist or pro artist. DM them, ask them a question, see if they respond, and let me know who it is. And of course, no one got back to me except for Luke. So Luke, this is just you and me, man. So I contacted Eric Canetti because last week I mentioned him in my podcast. So I sent him a video, like you send a video through DM, just saying, "Hey, I mentioned you. Appreciate you, being such a great artist," and blah blah blah. Right? Just real quick, like a 15-second thing, I think, and that let him know you're on my podcast. That was about it, right? And he responded to me. He which is like, I know it sounds stupid, it sounds simple, but it means a lot. I think like for those of us that are at the amateur status, when people we idolize say something to us, it just means a lot. If Jerry Seinfeld were to say what's up to me, it'd be like, oh shit, like the world would stop for me in that moment. I love Jerry Seinfeld. Or Joe Madera, like Eric Kennedy. These people are like god level status as far as artistry goes, in my opinion. So yeah, that's why this is important. It's, and I also want to like, there's some, I know that you've reached out to people and they don't respond, and you can't blame them, but at the same time, you do feel like, well, fuck you too then, right? So Eric responded, super awesome. He said he would give the podcast a listen. I don't know if he actually did or not, but he said he would listen to it while he was at work, which is like, that's just cool. He said that, at least thought about it. So I appreciate that. Yeah, so Eric Kennedy got back to me. Victor Kalvachev, he, if you don't follow him, he's another one of those really, really good ones. He got back to, he posted something about in his stories about Vero and the issues and kind of wanting to give up on it. And so I responded to his concern and about, yeah, Vero's sucking right now. And then he had a question about why he couldn't find himself, or he expressed he couldn't find his own account, and it was kind of pissing him off. So I let him know, well, I can't find mine either. So maybe it's just you can't search for yourself. I don't know. That was my best guess. And so he responded to me, and that was kind of cool. And then, then Luke let me know that he reached out to the artist for Red Hood and the Outlaws. This is Dimitri Dexter Soy. His Instagram is at death_star_soy. This is really cool. So Luke reached out to him, and he asked him, what music would Jason Todd be into? And that's so awesome. That's a great question for the artist of Red Hood and the Outlaws, right? So he got back to he responded to Luke saying there's actually an official soundtrack for the Red Hood series, and so he gave Luke the link to that. Like, that's just, so Luke got to learn something, got to interact with an artist he admires, and that's super cool. So thank you very much for that, Luke. And Luke has sent me a voice message with an update on another big fish he was trying to reel in.
Hey Justin, Luke here. No go on the Todd McFarlane front, but I won't stop. I'll just try someone else next.
I cannot tell you how much I love that. No go on the Todd McFarlane front, but he put it out there. So yeah, Todd McFarlane has not responded. Usually, I'm not going to report on who doesn't respond. If someone does respond to you, let me know, and I'll maybe update this. But I just thought it was hysterical. I love this. Like, I know all of this is silly. I know, to like be all fanboyish about it, but we are, and I think it's okay. And it does mean something when these pro level people give you their time and their attention. It does mean something. Like, at least it does to me. I'm sure you guys agree. So I'm not going to judge it. But I will one up you here. That was last week's. We have a new challenge this week, and we're doing something really fun. I think it's really fun, where the challenge will be made up by Luke. Again, Luke has been really, really involved and interactive with me in DMs and in comments and in the podcast and sending me messages. Like, it's just, I really appreciate him. He's kind of become what do I want to say? Like an Instagram buddy, I think, a social media friend, even. So I asked him, like, dude, you keep giving me these cool ideas for the challenge of the week. Like, do you mind just leaving me a message and I'll put it on the podcast? And he was willing to, obviously. So we have Luke's I call it Lab 5's weekly challenge.
Hi Justin, it's Luke here. Just finished listening to Masks and Monsters. Really liked the message about the old ladies drinking coffee, and propose that this week's challenge be hashtag old ladies drinking coffee, that we all need to draw to get out of a comfort zone. Let me know what you think. See ya.
Luke, that is an absolutely incredible idea. I love it. I love it so much, I actually did it. So mine's already done. I'll be posting it on Monday morning. I know you've already done it, and you'll be posting yours Monday morning, hopefully, as well. And I hope other people listening to this take the challenge and draw old ladies drinking coffee. If you want to know more about why, I did a mini podcast called Masks and Monsters. It's just from this week, and you'll learn what this is all about, because there's a little cute little backstory to it. So Luke, thank you for the incredible idea. I look forward to next week's as well. And I love your accent, man. It's perfect. Like, this show needed that. So thank you for bringing all that incredible auditory value as well as artistic challenge value. All right, kids, that is it. Thank you so much for listening. Did you listen the whole way through? I hope you did. Well, what's weird about the podcast format is I don't get any I don't get any like feedback, like any direct feedback. Like when I post on Instagram, I get hearts and comments immediately. With this, I'm just talking and it's out there, and I keep an eye on my data. But like, I don't get. There's not much. There's no interaction. Besides, there's a couple people that have sent me voice messages. But yeah, it's kind of weird. So if you listen the whole way through, I would love to hear about it. Like, if you like something, if you don't like something, let me know. But other than that, I'm not going to beg you for anything. Hope you like this. Hope you got something out of it. I really, really do. If not, I suck, and I need to try harder. Bye.